Hello, I'm CJ Werleman, and in this episode, we reveal how Iraq's Saddam Hussein and Libya's Muammar Gaddafi sounded the alarm about the spread of Zionism throughout the Arab world. But first, please remember to like and subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. Imagine if the Arab and Muslim world was totally united against the State of Israel and the Zionist ideology. You wouldn't just see a handful of rockets slamming into Tel Aviv, you would see this fake wannabe European city that's built on stolen Palestinian land completely wiped off the map, and every illegal settlement in the occupied Palestinian territories along with it. The Saudi Air Force would be airborne, the Emiratis would threaten Israel's airspace, Qatar would ready its air defense systems, Egypt would mobilize its ballistics, and Jordan would stop providing Israel with air cover. Syria would join in, Lebanon would aim its rockets, Iran would mobilize its ground forces. Turkey would send its drones, with Indonesia and Malaysia providing logistical support, and with Pakistan sitting in the background threatening Israel with nuclear attack. Under this wishful scenario, Israel wouldn't last a day of fighting, leaving 9 million Israeli squatters with no other alternative than to fly back to Europe and the United States. A fantasy, to be sure, given the last time an Arab regime won a war against the West was the year 1187, when Saddam conquered the Christian Crusader armies in Jerusalem. Were he alive today, Saladin would be horrified to see these headlines and learn how Arab states are defending the Zionist state from a lawful counterattack carried out by another Muslim country. Here you have Saudi Arabia and Jordan intercepting Iranian missiles that were meant for Israel, while Egypt is arresting activists who are trying to bring humanitarian aid into Gaza. A Welsh doctor voiced the frustration of 2 billion Muslims when he was arrested by Egyptian security forces at the Gaza border in June.
Genocide of a people. Please, 4 times I've been to Palestine as a nurse. I paid myself to go. They are hearing me. This man is wearing a Palestinian ring. They are all Muslim. This is a genocide of a Muslim people by Zionists.
They can't hear you. They can't hear you. They're not. No.
The Gaza genocide has revealed Arab leaders to be the enemy within. This is the 4th time they have betrayed Palestine in a profoundly heinous way. The first date backs to 1948, the year of the Nakba, when revered Palestinian fighter Abdul Qadir al-Husseini travelled to Damascus to appeal to the Arab League for weapons, as Zionist militias were ethnically cleansing Palestine. Tragically and diabolically, his request was met with stone-cold silence. The second, devastating betrayal came in 1978, when Egyptian President Anwar Sadat signed the Camp David Accords, which officially handed Israel control over 80% of Palestinian land, therefore severing Arab support for the Palestinian cause.
Sadat had broken the united Arab front against Israel and angered Arab leaders. He was now in a sole position to emerge from Camp David with a deal. Begin, on the other hand, had nothing to lose and could use Sinai as a bargaining tool for peace without having to give back Gaza, the West Bank, or Syria's Golan Heights.
The third betrayal came during Trump's first term, when he bribed Arab leaders with US weapons and money to sign the Abraham Accords, which normalized and legitimized the criminal Israeli occupation.
The President of the United States, the Prime Minister of the State of Israel, and His Highness, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the United Arab Emirates, will sign a treaty of peace, diplomatic relations, and full normalization.
In his new book, revered American journalist Bob Woodward reveals that some Arab states privately reassured US officials of their support for Israeli aggression aimed at dismantling Palestinian armed resistance. Their chief concern was not the mass killing of civilians, but the possibility that images of Palestinian suffering could trigger unrest within their own countries. In other words, their inaction stems not from incapacity or inadequacy, but from a calculated strategic alignment with Israeli interests, which are almost always in direct conflict with the values and attitudes of their own citizens. But no amount of wealth, foreign alliances, or internal repression can offer true stability to the Saudi, Jordanian, or Emirati royals, while Palestinian refugees are being murdered in tents, hospitals, mosques, and schools. There's simply no moral or political rationale for partnering with Zionism. The Gaza genocide has exposed Israel as a colonial enterprise built on dispossession and terror, which means it can never be normalized or legitimized, a reality that was well understood by Arab leaders of yesteryear, including Iraq's Saddam Hussein, who to this day is widely revered in the Arab world for his support of Palestinian armed resistance groups, for subsidizing the families of Palestinian martyrs, for subsidizing Palestinian university students, and for firing 40 Scud missiles at Israel in 1991.
شو رأيك بصدام حسين؟
صدام حسين صدام حسين رجل عظيم. صدام حسين
Saddam Hussein is a great man.
رجل الأمة. صدام حسين
He's the man of the nation, Arab nation.
يعني توفى صدام حسين، يعني راحت كل الأمة
He
والعربية.
has been killed and everything we lost.
One Jordanian told a major news outlet that if Saddam were still alive today, then the Middle East would have avoided any number of terrible events, including the current genocide in Gaza, the wars in Syria and Yemen, and the humiliation and helplessness Arabs are currently experiencing. Saddam also called out his Arab contemporaries for bowing down to Israel.
دعوة كانت إسرائيل على التلفزيون يومية تقتل بالعرب، وأقصى تصريحات تطلع والله احنا نشجب. شنو تشجب؟ جر سيفك، جر سيفك وشوفهم شلون يصيرون ذولا، يعني أبو بريص أحسن منهم، بس من أسلحة بعض العرب صارت صدئة، وصارت ما عاد حتى اللي يريد يجرها من غمدها يراد له يحط لها يدهنها فترة طويلة حتى يقدر يسحب السيف. طبعا إسرائيل تتنمر.
It's easy to see why Israel lobbied the United States to invade Iraq and topple Saddam Hussein, an invasion and occupation that was supported by the Iranian regime, and one that has no doubt changed the Middle East for the worse, while also negatively impacting Palestine. Many forget that Iranian militias attacked Palestinian refugees in Iraq because Iran accused them of supporting the insurgency against the US occupation and for receiving preferential treatment under Saddam's rule.
The general public has not yet heard of this refugee camp in the no man's land between Jordan and Iraq. No one has ever filmed here. For 3 months, Palestinians expelled from Iraq have been living here. They were allowed to live in Iraq by Saddam Hussein, sufficient grounds now for expulsion and lynch mob justice. The Iraqi border crossing in the east, and behind this tent to the west, the border with Jordan. In the desert, it is so hot, even at night, that many refugees sleep in the open. Refugees gather here to wash. There is quite literally nothing left in the tank.
And Iran also issued a fatwa banning any form of attack against US occupation forces in Iraq, a decision the notorious Donald Rumsfeld praised as courageous.
گونه که در عراق و افغانستان به استقرار دموکراسی داشتند که بیشترین همکاری ها در افغانستان و در عراق.
طالبان دشمن ماست. آمریکا هم احساس می‌کرد طالبان دشمن ماست. که این تجربه افغانستان رو در مورد عراق را تکرار بکنیم.
برای چی ما رو بردن جزو محور شرارت؟ مایی که کمک کرده بودیم به سرنگونی صدام. بعد گفتن آقا ما می‌خوایم طالبان رو در عراق چی سرنگون کنیم. دوباره کمکشون کرد.
This now brings us to Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi, whose relationship with the Palestinian cause was often complex and contradictory, because while he supported the liberation of Palestine, he also expelled thousands of Palestinians from Libya and enacted policies and undermined Yasser Arafat's PLO. But what Gaddafi did best was bravely calling out Arab leaders directly to their faces for selling their souls to Israel and the United States.
وغزو العراق وقتل مليون عراقي. وخلاص لقانا الامريكان يجاوبونا على السؤال اللي حاير، لماذا العراق؟ شو سبب له؟ بن لادن عراقي؟ ما هو عراقي، اللي ضربوا نيويورك عراقيين؟ ما هم عراقيين. اللي ضربوا البنتاغون عراقيين؟ ما هم عراقيين. في أسلحة دمار شامل عند العراق ما عندها. وحتى لو عند العراق أسلحة دمار شامل، باكستان عندها قنبلة ذرية، والهند عندها قنبلة ذرية، والصين وروسيا وبريطانيا وفرنسا وأمريكا، ما كلها عندها قنابل ذرية. كلها بيدمروها. كويس؟ فندمر كل الدول اللي عندها سلاح دمار شامل. تجي قوة أجنبية تحتل دولة عربية وتشنق رئيسها وإحنا نتفرج عليهم ونضحك.
Gaddafi also spoke about the urgent need for Arab unity in the face of Zionist and American aggression.
The Arab land is one home for all Arabs. The Arab world must be one country, like Italy, like France, like Britain. America, in this case, is our enemy. How we can accept any rule from America for any solution for this problem?
Today, Gaddafi's words are echoed by Pakistan's Defence Minister Khawaja Asif, who warned that Islamic nations should create a new initiative to demonstrate unity against Israel, saying, and I quote, "Israel has targeted Iran, Yemen and Palestine, and if Muslim nations don't unite now, each will face the same fate." And indeed, Arab leaders will share the same fated doom if they continue to believe the Arab people are a greater threat to security than the State of Israel. They must stop believing it's possible to make a pact with the devil or the US president. Because while it's true that the US offers impunity to Arab dictators who coddle Israel, it's equally true that this impunity is bought with oil and soaked in Arab blood, and that this impunity can be taken away at any time by the current or future US president. Therefore, the road forward is obvious. Arab regimes should move out from underneath the US security umbrella and spend more money on modernizing their militaries and establishing closer security ties with other Muslim countries. Israel simply can't be negotiated with, and nor can it be placated. It can only go in one or two directions. Either Israel will dominate or it will die. It's one or the other. There really is no third option here.
من هو الذي يوصف بهتلر؟ بغض النظر نحن المسلمون ونحن العرب لا نذم أحد عندما يقع، وإنما نذم المذموم وهو واقف. ولكن إذا ما جاز التشبيه، من هو الذي يشبه بهتلر؟ أليس هو هتلر صاحب المجال الحيوي الذي على أساسه توسع ثم اصطدم بمن اصطدم بهم؟ هذا الكلام هو كلام عن المجال الحيوي، كلام دعوة لضمان حدود ليس هي التي تقول بها إسرائيل اليوم، وإنما ضمان حدود ممكن الدفاع عنها على أساس القوة المتزايدة كما قيل للعراق.
Therefore, Arab leaders should be a little bit more like Saddam and a lot less like these soulless Arab sellouts. But that's my time for today. Thanks for watching, and please remember to subscribe to this channel. And we kindly ask you please support our effort to expose and confront injustices in the Muslim world by becoming a member of this show at patreon.com/CJWorleman. We can't produce, sustain and grow this show without your help, and we offer exclusive benefits to those who do. But for now, good night, good morning, wherever you are, and stay blessed.